What's up, guys? Matt Ledbetter, House of Folk Art. We are here at the Catawba Valley Pottery Festival, and I am here with legendary folk potter Steve Abee, right out of. Now, do you live in Lenoir?
I do. I've lived there for about 32 years.
Wow. And how many minutes is that away from right here?
Oh, about 45 minutes.
Oh, wow. 45.
Yeah, something like that.
But, I mean, you are in the heart of the Catawba Valley right there. I mean, that's where it all started, right?
Yeah, I'm kind of on the outskirts of it, but the traditional stuff that I do is based in pottery that was made in Vale, actually. Berlin Craig, some of the older potters. The clay that I use is was used by potters 200 years ago in that area, in that same area.
So you dig your clay?
Yes.
From that same, they call it vein?
It's called the Rhodes clay hole.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's what makes your pottery so special. You're able to fire that clay different from like a commercial store-bought clay to get this alkaline glaze to come out. I mean, am I on the right track there?
Well, if you compare some of my pieces to some of the pieces that are in booths here that are 200 years old, the color's virtually identical.
Right.
Because they're using they use the same glaze that I'm using, the same clay that I'm using.
Right.
So there's not really that much difference.
Right.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Yeah, and there's not many. I mean, talk us through. What does it take to dig clay? I mean, you gotta. I mean, I can't imagine doing it. I mean, 90% of potters probably don't. 98% of potters probably do not dig their own clay these days, or wood fire. Do you still wood fire?
I do. I just fired last Saturday, actually. Everything here at the show come out of last Saturday's fire.
Wow. And that is a tremendous process. I mean, I know some potters who literally have a kiln in their garage and they make little pieces and then fire it in that electric kiln.
Right.
But you are having to talk me through that process. So you wake up on a Saturday morning and you need clay. What do you do?
Well, years and years ago, I would go. Usually, it was myself and Charlie Lisk. You're familiar with Charlie Lisk?
Yeah.
He's a very well-known folk potter that worked with Berlin Craig, and he was the one that actually showed me how to look for clay, what to look for, the consistency, the color, even the smell of it. And he would take me out where he knew there was clay that was supposed to be, and he would take me out and he would show me where it was. And the Rhodes clay was actually in a field, in the bottom of a field near the South Fork of the Catawba River. And it was about 2 or 3 inches under the ground. We took buckets and we took shovels and we scraped off the topsoil that was on top of the clay, and we just filled our buckets full and put them on the back of the truck and took them back to his place where he had a clay mixer that he had built from scratch. It's very similar to the old style pug mills that Berlin used with a mule, only Berlin's pug mill was a barrel with a shaft going straight through it and little spikes coming off of it. Well, Charlie did it that way, except it was turned horizontal. So he had a shaft going this way. We just put it in there, mix it up, bag it up in some trash bags, and it's ready to turn.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Wow. And so is that how you do it today?
Yes, that's how I do it today. So I built a mixer, basically a brother to the one that Charlie had. It worked well, so I'm a kind of person who does what works, and his works, so that's what I built.
So one option is to get on Amazon and get your clay and turn a face jug. The other option is do it the old-fashioned way, which has so much historical value. And I mean, so with that clay comes the ability to get this glaze, and this is what we call alkaline glaze, right?
Yes, it's an alkaline glaze. It's a mixture of powdered glass, clay, and wood ash.
And the alkaline glaze, I know if you guys collect and you're online buying from auction or live auctioneers, wherever you're buying your pottery, if you're not able to make it out, you always hear that term alkaline glaze. And am I safe to say, if it's a true alkaline glaze, does it have to be the process that you just talked about, the old way, the dug clay? I mean, you don't have to dig it. You could buy it from somebody that dug the clay, but does it have to be that regiment? Or?
Not necessarily. I mean, alkaline glaze can be a broad term.
Right.
The alkaline just means instead of an acid, it's an alkaline, and what makes it an alkaline is the wood ash.
Right.
You get lye from wood ash, which you can make soap from wood ash. You soak the wood ash and you get the lye off of it. So it's a broad term, alkaline glaze. But when you're talking about Catawba Valley Pottery alkaline glaze,
Right.
this is what it looks like. And
Yeah,
it
the
has,
greenish.
yeah.
I've always caught, when I was hunting this when I was 5, 10 years old with my dad, I would say, oh, yeah, those are some of those green ones. Because to my eye, it's got that green color, and the alkaline glaze has always had that color.
Yeah,
to
for
me.
sure.
But these are fantastic.
Thank you.
Talk me through. So this has always been, how long have you been potting?
33 years.
So I remember seeing you at Hillsville one time, and it was
fun times.
When Hillsville was good. Hillsville used to be good.
It really was.
It used to be packed with antiques and pottery, and there was no T-shirts in the field.
No socks.
And then it just got. But
I know.
Hillsville used to be awesome. I remember meeting you there. Gosh, probably like 2000, 25 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
And you were set up.
Yeah. For sure.
And so this mouth right here, if you're a pottery collector and you ever see this open mouth with these teeth, talk me through these teeth right here. These are some of the best. I'm going to say this. Best teeth in the folk pottery industry right here. Talk me through this. This is clay, right?
That is clay. So I wanted to be a little bit different. Most potters from the Catawba Valley use china plates. They'll take china plates and break them up and make their teeth out of. I wanted to do something a little bit different. And I don't know where I really got the inspiration, but I just started forming the teeth individually.
They look like teeth. It's incredible.
Yeah, so my wife actually was a dental hygienist for about 35 years. And I don't know if that's where it came from, but for years people accused her of stealing teeth from the office and bringing them home.
So you had to hand make each one of these out of the clay.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you got it down to a science. Now you can boom, boom, boom. But at some level, if this is a lot different than, even the china teeth. I know the china teeth look great, but what you're doing there is just busting up a bunch of china and putting the teeth in. You're not having to hand make each piece. So
I like the china plate teeth. They're it's traditional to do that, but I just wanted to do something a little bit different, something that said, okay, this is a piece made by me.
Right. And definitely you can see from about 30 feet away. You can walk up on some face jugs and say, oh, that's a Steve Abee. All right, now talk me through the artist change that we're seeing right here.
Okay, so this piece is a new face that I made a few in the fall last year. I wanted to do something different. I've done this style of face jug for a very long time, and I'll continue to do those because it's kind of my trademark.
Right.
But I wanted to do something a little bit different, a little more kind of folky, I suppose. The way the teeth are very similar to some of the early Edgefield face jugs from South Carolina.
Right.
I had actually looked at some photos, back in the fall, and I thought, I'm going to switch it up, change it up a little bit, because, doing this for only 33 years, it gets a little bit boring to do the same thing over and over again. So I just wanted to mix it up, do something a little different, and I think my collectors really liked the faces at my last sale, my new faces, and so I decided to make some more. Yes.
These, yeah. Mm-hmm. So I've been around your pottery for a good 22, 23 years. And when I saw these, when you wasn't in your booth, when we walked by, I was like drawn to them.
Right.
So, and another cool thing is the the technique on the eyebrows or the hair additive to it is awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So I've done some figurines with hair kind of like that before. Not so much with the eyebrows and the mustaches on these particular face jugs, but I decided, you know what, that this face needs that.
Yeah.
It needs that look, and that is basically done by two different size sticks and a needle, where I just poke it.
It's awesome.
Poke it. Just keep.
It is awesome.
And they take a lot more time than these faces do.
Right.
I don't know whether it's because I've done these for so long, but these actually do take a lot longer to make.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can see that. If you like I said, these teeth right here, to me, I'd say it'd take me forever to make those, and you have that down to a science. But this is a new creation for you,
right?
So it's a little more difficult. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
So again, guys, understand this. We are at, what is it, noon on Friday at the Pottery Festival. It doesn't even kick off tonight until 6 o'clock. So we're going to let Steve get back to work, but we're going to take a camera over to his booth. We're going to show you the setup because all the pottery's out right now. Nothing's been sold.
Nothing's been sold.
But tonight at early entry, 7 o'clock, I think people pay $50 to get in early. It's going to be a madhouse at your booth. People just flock your booth. I mean,
let's hope so.
Let's hope so. Let's sell out. So let's end it there. Let's sell out, baby.
All right.
Thanks for talking to us.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah, man. See ya. Woo. Hey, you break it, you buy it. What's up, guys? Matt Ledbetter. We're here at the Catawba Valley Pottery Festival, and I am here with legendary Stacy Lambert. I didn't think we were going to get to capture him today, but he's sitting right here. Stacy, what's going on?
I'm ready for a wonderful weekend. This is one night a year, or one weekend show, Friday night and Saturday, where it's like a incredible pottery show.
Dude, so we just went and ate, and I was telling them it's too short. I mean, it's over before it starts, is what it seems like. I mean, it's like wham, bam tonight,
It's
2 or
true.
3 hours, and then tomorrow, wham, bam, and then it's over. Sunday, you don't even get a Sunday. You got to pack up on Saturday,
Yeah.
unless you're Stacy Lambert, because Stacy Lambert doesn't pack up. He sells out.
Usually I do. This is like the 27th year, I think, and it's been a really return people that come and collect, and they've been collecting face jugs and folk art for 27 years. So
Wow. So you've done this show 27 years?
I'm pretty sure this is 27 years. Yep.
Stacy, how old are you?
I will be 60 years old July.
Stacy, I put you at 50, bro. 49.
No.
Are you kidding? You're
No,
60?
I will be 60.
I never would have thought that.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Well,
Yep.
Listen, let me tell you something, folks. If you don't know Stacy Lambert Pottery, you need to know. This is not up and coming. If you don't know, you're out of the loop. You need to get in the loop. This is a talented mix of artist meets pottery. And what we're talking about here is the artwork that you put on your pottery. I mean, where does that come from?
I study, since I was studying just paper illustrations and pictures like M.C. Escher, Salvador Dali, the usual mix, Botticelli. And I've done The Last Supper so many times I could probably do it from memory.
Wow.
But it's fun. I don't do it as much now as I used to, but I mean, I can still do it. Actually, I've got one in my van that a customer called beforehand, so
Wow.
it's painted on a Walter Fleming jug, too.
Wow.
I saw Walter 2 weeks ago. He's 86 and still doing pottery, so it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few of your collabs, and one of our really good friends, Barry Tancer, and he's not here this week, and I
Yeah.
am very sad about that. I mean,
I know it.
I was really looking forward, but he'll be back next year. But
Oh,
Barry had, for years, so at the Pottery Festival, they have potters do demonstrations, and
That's
for
right.
years, those cold turned pots would, get thrown away, but Barry would take them and he would give them to you and you would paint on them.
I do the best I can. Like yesterday, this past summer gave me a bowl that had been, something went wrong with it, and it was made by a female potter named Marie Rogers.
Oh,
So I went to like different paint providers and found how to remove what could have been oil stains, but undoubtedly it was some sort of misfire. So I ground the glaze off that bowl, and it took a couple of hours, and I repainted it, sprayed it with glaze, and fired it in my kiln. So now I've got
Wow.
a Marie Rogers bowl that's been
holy
painted.
cow.
And like Edwin Metters, Barry found a Biss-fired Edwin Metters rooster.
Wow.
And I think Edwin Metters was born in the early 1900s,
Right.
probably 1920 maybe, something like that anyway. And I painted one of those.
Wow.
And
that's
glazed
special.
it.
I wish I could see that. Who's got
Yeah.
that? Barry's got it.
Barry's got it, yeah.
Oh my God.
So
They said that when Nub Metters, they called him Nub, N-U-B, when he took his overalls off, they stood up.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
He never washed his overalls. Do you remember the time I gave you an eyeball jug
I did.
from Marvin Bailey?
I remember
What
that.
was that like to paint?
That was a challenge. It certainly was.
That's
Yeah.
like a 1 of 1, right?
That's right. And speaking of unusual things that happened, in 2006, I got a call from a lady that said her brother-in-law wanted a piece, and it was hard to buy for him. His name's James Earl Jones.
Ooh.
So I
Darth Vader?
Yep, that's the guy. So I was very, very excited about that. So I made him a custom piece. I made a statue of a humanoid and painted pictures from movies that I had found. I actually went to Blockbuster Video when it was still around, and I drew cartoons from the movies that he was in, like The Hunt for Red October, The Lion King.
Oh, wow.
And he did the voice of Mustafa, and right on the butt, I did a face of Darth Vader. So I made that and sent it to his sister-in-law, and he sent me a signed autograph picture of himself, which was like one of the greatest things that's ever happened to me as a potter.
Well,
And
that's
so-
a pretty high alkaloid right there. I've
Yep.
sold a piece of pottery to James Earl Jones.
Yep, and he died last year. But me and my wife, we went up there, and he was so nice. He gave us permission to tour his property.
Right.
So that was a blast.
Wow. That's really cool.
Yep.
Where the pottery will take you.
Yep.
So for years you worked out of, I've seen some of your stuff signed, Winston-Salem, Asheboro.
Yep.
So where are you at now?
I'm in Asheboro right now. So I moved from, initially I started signing at Seagrove because that is where me and my wife went to school, and
Okay.
where there's like over 100 potteries in Seagrove. So it's a
Gotcha.
great place to visit. It's really close to the North Carolina Zoo, so you could spend a whole weekend and not be bored in North Carolina. It's the center of North Carolina. Go to the zoo, go to pottery shops. So, and then we got married and moved to Clemens, North Carolina. We stayed there 1 year, and then we moved after 1 year. My wife's job moved, so we moved to back to Asheboro for 1 year from Clemens, and then we moved to Winston-Salem until I think 2020, and we moved after my wife's dad died. So we live in Asheboro now. We've been living in Asheboro since 2020.
Heck yeah. So
Yeah.
talk me through this Medusa, because I'm going to be honest with you. So the power of the auction that we do, we
Yeah.
touch people all over the world, literally, like Germany, France, but more so, California, Florida, New York, Texas, all over the place. And our buyers are fascinated with this jug. Talk me through what is your thought process when you thought, let me do this? How did that go?
Well, I guess it's just from experience and knowing what to do with the clay and what might crack and what might not crack. So a lot of I would say trial and error. Of course, after a while, if you try something new, you're going to get some problems, and then you refine it to get better and better and better. So, and I was telling the potter Dwayne Crocker earlier this evening, I'd like to try to do another one and using different color schemes for each snake, like coral snakes, king snakes, rattlesnakes, and stuff like that. There's a graphic artist named Tristan Eaton, and like I cruise YouTube and find these artists, and he does paintings, and it's just unreal what paintings he does. But of course,
Right.
I do 3D.
So you yourself, as a talented artist, you still draw inspiration from other artists.
I do. I
Yeah.
certainly do. Joffre Boschart is an artist that's passed away, and he actually does fantasy work. And he said in his interview, he don't even speak English, but he went to visit Salvador Dali, so it goes way back.
Right.
And I've met people that have had dealings like Howard Finster. I've met people that's actually met him and stuff.
Right.
But the list goes on and on of artists. I mean, I've got notebooks at home. I have to take notes because I'll for sure forget them.
Right.
And it's so much more easier to look at YouTube and see artists than it used to be before the inventions. Like before eBay, I was doing pottery, and that really helped a lot because people started reselling it.
Right.
So some of the earlier pieces that I used to do, people thought, maybe this guy is like a pre-Columbian. I used to do some pre-Columbian style.
Right.
And people ordered it. And then if you didn't look at the bottom of the piece, you'd think this was like 1,000 years old.
Right.
So I didn't do it intentionally. That's just what they ordered. And
But on the bottom of everything you make, I mean, you pretty much date everything. Like this one right here, Stacy Lambert, Ashboro, 2/11/25.
Yeah.
So that's one cool thing about it is, you know, we've seen pieces of yours from like 1995. That's an early piece of pottery for you, right?
I'm pretty sure it was 1995 or the fall of 1994.
Yeah. But
So-
I've heard that your first work, your first artist work was leather. Is that right? When you worked in a leather factory or something like that?
No, I started the leather factory. I worked in a cotton mill, and it closed in 2007 for me. So I went to work in a leather store. So that was
When was that?
the wind of the
Leather.
The leather. It was 2000, but from 2000, the fall of 2007, I started the leather store in the beginning of, I think it was the summer of 2008.
I gotcha.
And then when my wife and I got married, on our anniversary is 11/11/11.
Oh,
So we
nice.
moved. That's easy for me to remember.
Guess what me and my wife's anniversary is?
Is it 11/12/13?
10, 11, 12.
10, 11, 12.
The great minds think alike here.
Yeah. So that's easy for me as my go-to.
Yeah, right on.
But believe it or not, the leather store, the guy said he would set up and sell leather belts with your name on it, and also sell M.L. Owens pottery.
Wow.
So
that's kind of cool.
And he said, you have talked about pottery so much that he went out and bought a pottery wheel and a kiln. And
For
him.
For him.
He wanted to do it as a hobby.
So you imposed the pottery wheel on.
Zach White's Leather in Ramseur, North Carolina. So that's another go-to. I heard that is the largest leather store east of the Mississippi River.
Wow.
It's massive. I mean, you've heard of Tandy Leather, and there's a Weaver Leather. Those are two giant names. But Zach White's Leather, and that's not his real name. He bought it from Zach White.
Right.
And so this leather store has been open probably, I guess, 40 years or more.
Holy cow.
But that's another one. And going back to James Earl Jones, his brother-in-law gave me and my wife a tour, and one of the buildings that was on his property, he said, I don't recognize that building. Let me go look. And we went in the building, and there was a pottery wheel in there. And all these chemicals that I recognize, like bentonite and kaolin. And so if it wasn't James Earl Jones doing pottery, it was his son or possibly his assistant.
That's really cool.
So that was odd, but it was cool. I mean, it's fun. I mean, it's something that they're going to have in schools and stuff, and it's fun for everybody to do. Like, look around you. There's hundreds of potteries like here.
Yeah.
But this is a place to go.
This is. Are you ready for the mad rush? You know, what time are they opening the doors tonight? It's earlier, I heard. Is it like 6 or 6:30?
My wife's
I heard
looking on her
I heard
phone.
this earlier. Are you ready for the rush of people that's going to be at your booth to just take everything, and all of a sudden it's going to be gone?
Yep.
And you're going to be sitting with a green table.
Yep. That's
or I don't know the color of your cloth, but whatever color your table is, it's going to be empty.
I remember Kim Ellington come over one time, and that's another massive potter, Kim Ellington. He said, nice tablecloth.
Yeah.
He complimented me on my tablecloth. So that was a nice compliment from him.
I remember, and I've told everybody here, I've told everybody this around me, but I want to tell you, I remember the first time me and my wife came to the Pottery Festival. We walk in the front door. We came on Saturday. We didn't know anything about Friday. We walk in the front door Saturday, 10:30 a.m., right? We're late. We're late at this point, but we didn't even know it. And the first person we see is this guy sitting behind. You were drawing. And there was an empty table, but you actually had like 1 or 2 face jugs, and they were your painted face jugs.
Yeah.
With like a completely empty table with 2 face jugs. And I walk up to you and I say, I don't understand what's going on. Where's all your pottery? And he goes, I sold it. And I'm looking around and I'm seeing this booth has 100 pieces. This booth has 100 pieces. Everybody's booth has 100 pieces. And here's Stacy Lambert with 2 pieces left.
That's right.
Dude, it was awesome.
You know what's weird is last year I had one coffee cup, and that was because someone ordered it. And this year I've got 0 coffee cups.
0 cups. So sometimes the coffee
Isn't that
cups are
weird?
rare.
Yeah, I mean, I make the weird cups like with baby doll heads.
Let's see these because this is actually
Bizarre.
cool. Where did the octopus come from? Where did we get that?
It was just an idea.
Just popped in there.
Yep, it's an idea.
That is awesome.
Yeah, they turned out real well. Someone from Winston-Salem, they worked in the art department in Winston, and they had some of these baby doll molds that no one wanted anymore. And she said, if you want some, you can have some, but if you don't want them, they're going in the dumpster.
Wow.
So I've got maybe 4 or 5 baby doll heads and some larger baby doll bodies, and I don't know. It's fun in the summertime.
Yeah.
Something different than turning.
Well, it's definitely folky, and you always put your twist on it. And I think the people out there love it. I know the people that deal with Ledbetter auctions love it. They love to see Stacy Lambert come up, and I know they all wish they were here in Hickory, North Carolina, but some of them live like I don't know, 3 days away. I mean, in a car 3 days away. Your stuff goes to California.
Yep.
It goes everywhere. It goes all across. So
Yep.
And right here in Hickory, North Carolina, Stacy Lambert tonight at 6:37, whenever the doors open, you can go to his booth and buy directly from him, and tomorrow all day. But I'm telling you now, if you come tomorrow, you're just too late. So you got to buy that ticket. It's all about buying that early ticket to the Catawba Valley Pottery Festival.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be great.
Stacy, it's always great to talk to you. I really appreciate you. You're a friend, and you're just such a talented potter, and it's been great here. And we're going to see y'all tonight.
Thank you.
I've never done anything
We
like this, so
are
we'll see how this
live at the Catawba Valley Pottery Festival.
goes. Left, right.
All right, so
All right.
Matt Ledbetter here, live from the Catawba. You don't understand what royalty I'm sitting with. Kyle and Sully, pay attention. Sometime in 1925 and 1930, in North Carolina, Vail specifically, there were these potters, and they were known as the Reinhardts, and they signed their pottery, the Reinhardt brothers. And I am sitting here with a descendant of the Reinhardt brothers, Michael Gates. This is the most pottery royalty at this event. There's 300 potters here, and I'm sitting with the one. One. Yes. Yes. Dude, your pottery is on fire too, man. I mean,
Thanks,
people
man.
exasperately love your pottery, dude. I mean, it's
appreciate it.
crazy. So tell me, how old were you when you realized, was it your grandfather? Who was it?
My grandmother.
Grandmother.
She's the one. She grew up at the pottery.
Okay.
Yeah, my dad's mother. So.
All right. And she was married to.
She married the Gates. That's how the name.
Okay, so
my
her
grandfather,
dad
James Franklin Gates.
her dad was.
Her dad was Enoch.
Okay,
Yeah,
so Enoch.
yeah.
How old were you when you realized that my grandfather was I mean, dude, in the world of pottery, he was a famous potter. So how old were you when you realized that?
I mean, I just heard pottery stories growing up, like at dinner.
I don't think you
At
know
my
how
grandparents',
famous
and
you
it
are,
was
bro.
like-
I don't think you understand how,
just,
like,
you would just hear like, this is what's going on, with the pottery, and Charlie
Yeah.
Lisk's out there renting the house or whatever, making
Wow.
pottery out there, doing whatever. So I heard stories about it, but I didn't, I didn't.
It
think
didn't
anything much. I
resonate.
was just like pottery. What's
Yeah, like,
that?
what's
Okay,
pottery?
Sure, whatever. But I
Yeah.
would see it at her house. She had a
Right,
lot of
right.
swirlware and
man,
a face jug and stuff up on the shelf,
a
which
face
was really
jug,
cool. Yeah.
an Enoch Reinhardt face jug.
Yeah, she had one. What? Yeah.
30,000.
It's gone.
Yeah. What happened to it?
Someone came in the house and took it.
A picker.
Yeah.
Oh my
no,
god.
this is a thief.
Oh, a thief.
Yeah.
Okay, not a picker.
No.
Shoot. My dad picked a Reinhardt face jug out of a basement once. He didn't even know what it was.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he didn't know what it was, and it
That's
brought.
cool.
This was 20 years ago. It brought
Yeah.
it brought like 4,500, something like that. But that was back before people even knew.
That's a good find.
I mean,
though.
dude, in 30 years, there's been a lot of accomplishments in 30 years in this, with people knowing what things are.
for sure.
So-
Yeah. And a lot of inflation too.
Yeah, true. It's gone up.
But yeah, no, I
So
Yeah.
when did you, I mean, you're a young guy. How old are you?
47.
47. So, I mean, you're a young dude. When did you start making pottery?
College. I was 19 maybe.
Wow.
Something like that. Yeah.
So was that when you got out of college? Was that like your sole practitioner or what?
No, I didn't even take ceramics classes like my freshman year. I didn't even think about it really. It wasn't like why I went.
Right.
So I was going to art school and I was like, yeah, I like to paint and draw and whatever. And so I had a girlfriend that went did ceramics, and so I just kind of went in there with her.
Right.
And I was like,
right.
all right, this is kind of cool, and ended up doing it more and more. I guess it was my concentration though. By the time I was a senior, and that was my senior project.
Right.
Was pottery, ceramics, whatever you want to call it in college, and then after school, I just didn't even touch it still for like 10 years, and then I kind of got back interested in it.
So now you're
And it was,
you're like 32-ish.
Yeah, kind of settled down, quit, traveling around and roaming around the country and whatnot,
Right.
and settled down a little bit.
So when did you become Michael Gates the potter?
Yeah, right around then, around like 30.
So like
31.
So 15 years ago or so.
Yeah, I made.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started making pottery again, which I did a lot in college, but it was like
wow.
not.
Where's all that?
I still have some of it. I left some of it in Australia because I did a year there, and so I left a lot. I
man.
had to leave everything.
So there is some
Yeah.
early Michael Gates in Australia right now.
Unless it's broken.
Dude.
At least shards, right?
It's going to come up at Ledbetter auctions. I know it is. We're going to see some. What do we need to look for? Like face jugs, or what were you making back then?
I did some crazy face jugs in Australia. I did pots, and then I took them in the dark room, and I took pictures of all my friends and like all these Australians, and just friends that I had made down there.
Nice.
And developed photos on the pots in the dark room, like with this liquid
And
emulsion.
they're floating around Australia right now?
Maybe if they survived.
Dude, they
So,
survive. People
yeah.
don't throw anything away. They rent storage buildings to store stuff. They don't throw nothing away. They're out there. I can't wait to get one.
I've got some friends down there that I keep in touch with that I'll ask them if they still have.
Oh, dude, that's what's
So
up.
no, I just gave it all away when I left. It was like, there's no way I'm shipping it back to you.
Right. Oh, that's really cool.
But yeah, and other stuff. I think I had a sale at the farmers market in Greensboro for
Oh, wow.
with some of the other art students or whatever, and sold some there, but not much.
Yeah.
It's like selling stuff for like $7 or $8.
Right.
Right here.
So it trips me out because one of the first pottery shows I came to here, I'm walking around as a buyer, and I see in this booth, I see what I'm classifying as a Reinhardt face jug. So I run into the booth, and I'm looking at it. It's alkaline glaze, and I'm like, oh my God, this is a $10,000 face jug. Oh my God, Michael Gates. And I'm confused. I'm like, wait,
Who's that?
why does this look like a Reinhardt face jug? And then I meet Michael Gates, and he tells me the connection. So the whole
I remember
deal,
talking to you.
Yeah,
I
dude.
remember that. Yeah.
the whole deal for me is just it's very I don't know the right word, anecdotal. I mean, it is. It's a little story that I tell sometimes. But so fast forward, I mean, that's been 10 years. That's been close to 10 years, maybe 8 years or so.
Yeah.
Fast forward, your pottery is now art. I mean, dude, you are making some art work. You're not just making pottery anymore. It is art. Tell me about what was the switch from like an alkaline glaze face jug to now this is Michael Gates and this is like serious artwork.
I think it was just repetition and boredom, just kind of doing it over and over. And I made a lot of just traditional work when I
Right.
started back into it,
Right.
which gave me a good foundation and firing with lots of different potters and, different glazes.
Then you had
and
to
different
put your
clays
spin
and-
on it.
Yeah, I just got
So
kind of
to
bored.
speak.
Yeah, I just kind of
Yeah.
wanted to do something different. And, just kind of went back to what I had painted a lot in the past too, done like acrylic painting and stuff. So
Right.
it was kind of natural to do like just with the underglazes, just to try that out,
Yeah, sure.
and do a lot of painting on the pots, and then
Yeah.
sculpturally got a little crazy too, which I had some sculpture background
Dude,
too.
one,
but-
one of the coolest ones was the Elmer Fudd and the rabbit. Or it was like a
the
figure.
rabbit hunter.
Yeah. Oh, where did that
was
end
wild.
up? Did he?
Anthony Hall. Yeah.
Okay, so you ended up selling it.
Yeah.
Because that was one where I remember when you were making that, you were posting it on Instagram. This was a couple years ago. I was like, oh my God, this is so awesome.
That was a fun one. Yeah, that was
Dude.
one of the first wild kind of
Yeah. And
branching out pieces.
Man,
that I
it was
did.
like the first of its kind, too. I mean, and everything you're doing now is almost like the first of its kind. And that is really hard in
Yeah.
pottery. because pottery has been something that's been around since the 1600s in America.
Yeah.
So it's hard to create what we call like a new idea.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, this is a 400-year-old tradition.
Right.
And it's hard to get new in that.
Yeah.
And you're doing it, dude.
Yeah.
So
Thanks, man.
I'm going to put him on the spot. We have viewers right here. How many of you guys want to see some Michael Gates pottery in the auction? When we do our when we do our 4 quarterly auctions a year, how many of you want to see Michael Gates? Because honestly, the only way I get your pottery now is like if a collector ages out and they've got 2 or 3 pieces. But I'm talking about like 5 to 8 pieces every quarter. As a collector, you can count on it, and you can sell your Bitcoin right before the auction and get ready to roll.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
We got to get there, man.
I'm in. Yeah. I just got to get some stuff made.
Yeah. And that's a challenge too. Matching up, like right here, you had to work pretty hard to fill that booth.
Yeah.
And it's pretty full.
Yeah.
So
Everything's at the museum show.
yeah.
Hickory.
So
Right now, so everything pretty much.
Talk to me this last little bit about a miniature.
Yeah.
Miniatures, I love your miniatures. Are they
Yeah.
hard to make?
Yeah.
Miniatures to
Very.
get all that detail on such a little surface.
Yeah, you just kind of have to like take a deep breath and slow down and like just like think about it, but like envision what it's gonna be like doing, because it's different for
So
sure
even-
to work at such a small scale.
So even though
different.
even though the miniatures, they seem smaller and compared to like a 2-gallon or a 1-gallon.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, folks, from a collector's point of view, I understand there is
harder.
an immense amount of work
Yeah.
that goes into a very good miniature.
Yeah, it's harder
Yeah.
for sure.
So don't
Got to use little
sleep.
tools and like
You gotta
really
make. You
look at
can't
this
use your
detail.
fingers because your fingers are bigger than the eyeball that you're putting in there.
You got to use your pinkies and like little paintbrush ends and whatnot.
Dude,
Yeah.
so don't sleep on the miniatures. Don't think that that just because it's small, it's not significant.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean-
and they're fun, and you always have room for
I
them
love
in your
miniatures,
house.
dude.
Yeah.
Oh, if you ever want to collect pottery and you're saying I don't have any room, just collect miniatures, man.
Just
It's
put
all
them in the
good.
windowsill. Yeah.
Yeah, $500 to $800 a piece. We're all good, man. Man, it's been a great talking to you. I know you got a busy day, so we're excited. We got about 3 more hours? Is it pushing 4 o'clock? It's 2:20. So in about, I think, what time are they starting tonight? Is it early?
6 o'clock maybe. Something like
6. It's an hour. Oh my God.
Or no,
we got
maybe
less
it's
than
7.
4 hours.
I don't know.
I don't even know. But
I don't know either.
time's pushing. I know you got to
Yeah.
get back to your booth, man. It's been really good. We'll see you next
Yep.
time. And we're
Thank
at
you.
House of Folk Art here in the Catawba Valley Pottery Festival. I'm so excited right now. I never thought this would happen. I am sitting with the man, the myth, the legend, L.A. Ryan. His name is L.A. That's correct. He is walking around. Holy cow. This is the Bible. This is what I've been talking about. This is Howard Smith's book. Talk me through this book. Did you know Howard Smith?
Yeah, I knew him personally. Me and him used to go on the road together some.
Yeah.
We were born the same year. He died when he was 46 years old, I think it was. So he'd be 78 this year
Wow.
if he was still alive. But this I got directly from Howard. But
Did he sign
since
it?
no, he didn't sign this one. But since the 1980s, there's all kind of stuff added and written in this book. Potters that
Wow. So
Like-
is that your note right there?
yeah, every note in here is mine.
All right, we got a bowl. If you got this book out there, Bowl, 1890, William Weaver.
And this was in January 30th, 1890, Morganton Free Press. It says that a Mr. Bowles in Brindletown, that's over out of Morganton, that William Weaver was going to help him at his jug factory. But I hadn't been able to find anything on Bowles. I've tried the census.
Wow.
Here's a potter that I found in Cleveland County and wrote an article on him, Bob Bookout.
Can you handheld and get this? I mean, is there a way to do that? Because this is pretty crazy. So,
These are bogs that were at Catawba, and they were in Terry's book, but they wasn't in this. So there's a lot of stuff added. I told my son-in-law, Vic, that this book looks bad, but it ought to be kept.
No, this is you need to just leave this book
because,
to me. That's all that needs to happen.
It has a tremendous amount of notes in it of potters. This Gary Buckner, he was E.J. Brown's grandson-in-law, and he made a few face jugs up at Rutherford College.
Oh, wow.
And I have 2 or 3 of them that he made, and we just have all kind of notes in here from different Brown Brothers pottery. I always thought it was just made in Arden, but now there's been a couple pieces that's come up that are stamped from Evelyn, Georgia.
Right.
So we're learning all the time.
And the thing about Howard is there was no internet.
No,
when he created this book, it was all legwork.
It was all, and there are mistakes in it, and it was because sites were never dug in the Catawba Valley. When he wrote this book, we're to, let's see, we're going to go back here to, what is it, Marcus, the Hilton. No, when they thought Holly. When they thought MAH was Holly.
Right.
It's in this book. But actually,
the corrections.
It's corrected. It's actually Marcus Hilton.
Okay.
And he made them in the Catawba Valley, and then he moved to Sharon, South Carolina.
Got you. And the book printed it Marcus A. Holly.
Yeah, well, it was the old green book from the Mint Museum has one, and they say it's Marcus Holly.
Got you.
But this was found out later,
right?
That it wasn't.
And that's it's okay to make mistakes and things like this if you're willing to learn from it and correct it. So make a mistake when you're documenting pottery, but just if something pops out, talk to me about this. Have we found anything else about this, about the J?
No, it looks like a Seagrove area jar,
right?
But that form was used more in upstate South Carolina.
Yeah.
That bell-shaped form.
Right.
But we were talking about the potters moving so much.
Right.
And so. And
you
this is a potter that, to my knowledge, has not been but one piece found, and there's an article in the paper on him as he was in Troutman, North Carolina.
W.L. Mills.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the stamp, two gallon, and it said W.L. Mills Pottery, Troutman, North Carolina.
That's what the stamp
read.
read.
Wow, that's cool.
And he was a fire chief there, and I think this is on an Albany slip cream riser, and it's a 3-line stamp.
Wow.
So anything that I've been able to find over the years,
you added to your
has
book.
Been added to this.
Wow.
This book.
That's great.
Not just North Carolina. This is a South Carolina potter that was there. He was kin to the Boyles, and his brother-in-law to the Boyles, and he's in the census as making jugs. And
right.
I've seen 2 or 3 pieces that are signed with a P. A storage jar just about like this with a P down at the bottom.
Right.
That he made. But, we
just got to keep on
keep
going.
Finding stuff and learning stuff and finding out that, and this was probably one of the first, you have so many now where they, 2 different potters do stuff. Elvin Owens was going down to Georgia and buying green pottery and bringing it back, and they were firing it at M.L.'s and at Elvis's pottery.
Right.
I've got a great big frog that was done like that. It was actually made by the Fergusons, but it was fired up here in North Carolina.
And was it signed by the
No,
Owens?
it's not signed by either one.
Got it. Wow, that's confusing.
But
well, that's a great tradition and great history. So, part of your job here at the Catawba Valley Pottery Festival, you're going to be over here.
We do pottery identification.
Identifying the pottery. So that's going to be fun. I can't wait to see what comes in, and I can't wait to see the look on somebody's eyes But you don't give values.
We'd like to hope that somebody would bring something great in.
Yeah.
Last year we had somebody bring in it was an unsigned, but it was a Harvey Reinhardt face jug.
Wow, that's awesome.
So, you don't, and I had the best D. Holly brought in years ago that I've ever seen.
And for those of you on the Reinhardt
So-
face jug, we're talking 15 to 30,000.
Yeah.
That's what they bring. That's what they're worth. And somebody, what was the story on that? Where'd they find that?
I don't think he even said.
Yeah. But it was a surprise. He didn't know anything
he
about it.
didn't. Yeah, he just knew he had the face jug. This D. Holly had come down through this guy's family that had it. His daddy had owned it. And that was the only year we ever priced. And when I priced it, I told him $10,000 in. And a couple years later, I was told that the man told his son he could have it or he could sell it for $10,000 and get him a car. So
Nice.
the boy sold it.
So trading pottery for cars. That's what we're getting
Not a
into.
car for that.
That's
piece
awesome.
Of pottery.
Well, LA, it was great talking to you, and I look
Okay.
forward to many more adventures.
Okay, have
with
a
you.
good day.
All right, buddy. Man, I'm nervous to talk to you, to be honest with you. You're like the godfather of this whole entire thing. So I'm going to do my best. Are we rolling?
Ready? 3, 2, 1, action.
Hey guys, I'm Matt Ledbetter here with the House of Folk Art. I'm here. The only way I know how to describe this man is the godfather of the Catawba Valley Pottery Festival, Alan Huffman. We're here. It's a pleasure to be here with you. And man, how long has this festival been going? Did you start this festival? You had a hand in starting this whole deal, right?
Well, I was involved with Sid Hama and other members back in the 60s when we started talking about having some sort of event or festival and such. I came back to Hickory in 1975 from the Army after having grown up here and developed an interest in pottery and Hickory growing up, and also because of my wife growing up in Sanford in the pottery area down there. And when I was in Nuremberg, Germany for 3 years, we got quite involved in studying and learning about European pottery traditions, mostly German, but also some of the Middle Eastern traditions too.
So when did this show start? Was it in the 60s?
We started the show in the late 70s.
Wow.
I believe 79. I'm not absolutely certain about that because we had a few smaller trials and adventures before we got into the larger event.
Right. So you remember the potters like Charles List. You remember Charles List setting up here. I mean, he's a thing of the past now. I mean, he's not.
My second favorite potter of all time is Charles List. My favorite potter of all time is Berlin Craig, of course. And it was through learning about Berlin Craig from other people that I got started really actively into collecting Catawba Valley pottery, starting in the late 70s after getting back from my time in the Army in Europe.
Right. So was Berlin, who introduced you to Berlin Craig?
Sort of introduced myself and that I'd heard of him from various collectors and other potters and went out to see him and
Wow.
Became good friends and for 30 years.
Holy cow. Had he, so the story of the crying eyes, Berlin was not the inventor, but he was the creator of the crying eye phenomenon. Am I right about that? And when it comes to folk pottery?
Well, he became known for it. I can't say that he was the first one to ever have a piece with that look, but it became identified with him.
Right.
And he identified with it.
Can you confirm the story that, I don't know who it was. It was either Nancy Conover or Daisy Wade Bridges or somebody showed up to his house and he was dumping. He had a wheelbarrow full of face jugs that he was throwing in the ditch, and they said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, the eyes melted out. I gotta throw these away." and they said, no, this is excellent. Do not throw these away. Do you know that story? Have you ever heard that, or is that just folklore?
I've not talked to Berlin about that story. I've heard various versions of that story.
Right. So it's like it could be real.
It could be real. It could be a folk tale. Yeah.
Yeah. It's an interesting, and so the earliest crying eye Berlin Craigs, they're not going to be the white choline coming out. They're like empty eye sockets, and you can barely make out the clay coming down the body. And I believe that's how that started. And man, what a tale! But so after Berlin, did Berlin Craig ever set up here for the show?
To the best of my knowledge, he did not.
Right.
My memory's a little fuzzy on some of the last 30 years, but he did not.
He seems too country to do it. Like, I'm not mixing in with that. I mean, he seems like he would have been that guy.
He didn't have to go out to sell his pottery. People came to him to buy it.
Right, yeah, they had kiln openings, and they had to draw a number, and they would wait, and then they would just run and throw. I heard stories of them throwing quilts over the whole batch of the pottery at the kiln openings. Is that true? Did you ever see that?
Well, I've heard those stories, but I never saw it happen.
Yeah. So do you think, we're in the year 2025. Do you see a big response to folk pottery? I mean, you've been around this a long time. Do you think it's still popping? Do you think it's still resonating with people?
I think it is, but in somewhat different ways, because people of my age and somewhat younger identify with the folk pottery tradition of the last quarter of the 20th century, and what people refer to as folk pottery and think of as traditional folk pottery has changed over the last 30, 40 years.
Right. And more so of like, you don't have to fire the pottery. People are using electric kilns, and it's just different. They don't have to dig their clay. They don't have to stay up all night with the kiln firing. And I definitely see that sentiment coming from it. Well, I think, being young in this industry, and I don't think I'm the youngest here. I do see there's a gentleman right there who's, well, how old are you, bud? 18? What are you, 16? We got a 15-year-old. Do you like pottery? He loves pottery. So we've got some young people around here. That is a plus for this show. And that's what we need. We need young people to understand where this pottery tradition came from, and don't be afraid to decorate your house with it. That's what it's all about. And they need to get down here to the Catawba Valley Pottery Festival. I'm going to ask you one more question. What is the best old piece of pottery you've ever owned? Like Dan Siegel, Isaac Lefevre. Did you ever get into any of them?
I collected several Daniel Siegels, one Isaac Lefevre. I guess, I love the old Daniel Siegels, but I guess my favorite potter is Berlin Craig and his best face jugs.
Yeah.
And that's probably because that come from the years when I was really forming my opinions and love of pottery,
right,
and knowing him personally and how his history evolved with the evolving of the face jugs.
So what do you think about this?
That's a great piece.
Does that tickle your insides right there?
I like that. That's a little later piece, so to speak.
Right.
But it is for someone who's been with it as long as I have, it's also an older piece too.
Right. It's a pretty dominant Berlin Craig. I think people have a misconception of Berlin Craig because he produced so much pottery, and he produced so much pottery late in life. I don't think people understand how good Berlin Craig pottery can be, because a lot of the great Berlin Craig pottery is in collections. It's being hidden right now. Nobody's releasing it. And so what's coming on the market sometimes is the later, and I don't think people understand that pieces like this exist. I mean, this is not the best piece, but this is upper end Berlin Craig. This is what you're after. And I think in the near future, some of the best Berlin Craig is going to come out to the market, and it's going to shake things up. People are going to start to realize how much of a good potter he was.
Well, that's a very good piece. Very good piece.
Yeah. Well, it was really fun talking to you. Thanks for taking time. I know you're busy. You know everybody here, so I know you're walking around, so I'm going to let you get back to it. This is a House of Folk Art podcast. We're live, and we're going to take the mic now. We're going to walk around and see all these beautiful people buying beautiful pottery.